A beginner's guide to the Syrian War. The civil war in Syria is a very complex and complicated war. It's not as black as white as many people like to think. Many people think it's the brave rebels versus the evil dictator. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Hopefully, this video will break down the complexity of the issues in Syria and give you a far more greater understanding of what's taking place. Let's first start by identifying where Syria is located and some fun facts. Syria is located in Western Asia, also known to many as the Middle East. Syria is a country of fertile plains, mountains, and deserts. The Syrian Civil War is a conflict between long-serving government and the rebels seeking to remove them from power. The Assad family has held power in Syria since 1971, which was first by Haz Assad, who led Syria 30 years until his death. In 2000, his son took power. Unlike many regimes in the Middle East, the Assad family is not really religiously extremist. So we have to question and ask, you pose the question, why are the Syrian people unhappy? Why are they angry with their government? Because at the beginning of things, it wasn't always Assad that they wanted to remove from power. What brought about the change was Assad's unfulfilled promises to his country. That's what sparked and led towards the rebellion. After 11 years of Assad being in power, his wide range of social and economic reforms that he failed to achieve had led the Syrian people to be still lack of opportunity, unemployment. It was characterized by a lot of poverty. Assad's removal from office, and this is where the protests and for social and political reform began, causing an uprising within the country. Ultimately, that led to civil war, which both is threatening Assad's power and the nation's stability. Well, during the uprising, it was inspired by the Arab Spring, a revolutionary wave that demonstrated protests elsewhere in the Middle East that was very successful. During the anti-government protests, school guys apparently wrote on the walls and slogans that declared their freedom. While being detained, these young men were killed, causing more pro-democracy protests to erupt throughout the country. This led to Assad forming his Syrian army to keep control of his people that was opposing his rule. Eventually, the strikes continue, and so did the protests. It became down to the rebels versus the Syrian army. And during this time, Syrian has lost a lot of civilian casualties, and it has made the country of Syria a very unstable nation, a very unrest nation. This war had led to eventually the opposers and supporters began to take up arms, first to defend themselves and later to expel the security forces from their local areas. Violence escalated and the country descended into civil war as rebel brigades were formed to battle government forces for control. The conflict is more than just a battle between those who oppose the president now. It has required sanctioned overtones, jihadist extreme groups, including the Islamic State, ISIS, all in the name of democracy. So in the overview, to just brief summary, what happened is Assad gave a lot of promises, economical, social promises that he was unable to fulfill. After 15 years of empty promises, the people of Syria looked at the Arabic Spring, saw how successful their revolution was, and decided to revolt themselves. The anti-government, pro-democracy led to the execution of many Syrian civilians, which then led to the rebels forming. Rebels versus the Syrian army, broke down the security, national security of the country. Now they have outside world interferences such as ISIL. So if anyone ever thinks that the Syrian Civil War is basically because, like other Muslim countries, the Sunnis versus the Shiites, is not the case. It's because Assad did not fulfill his promises, and they're unhappy. So this concludes my project. I hope that you enjoy, and I hope you have a greater understanding of the Syrian Civil War and the crisis that's taking place in Syria. Thank you. My name is Asa Smith, and thank you for listening.